This is Kishan, and this video is to understand the difference between a procedure and a function. So the very first difference between a procedure and a function is that a procedure may or may not return any value, but a function will surely return one value. This is the very most and utmost difference between both of these, and other differences would be drilled down from this very basic difference. Now, a procedure may have a return statement in it, but this return statement is very much different from a function's return statement. When a procedure has a return statement, it will just abruptly return it back to the calling environment, whereas a function would have a return clause in its definition itself, where we would define return and then data type, like what will this function be returning to. It is mandatory for the function to return something to the calling environment. So that will surely contain a return statement, but with an expression like return a variable or a number or a character or something like that. It would have a return and an expression, whereas a procedure will have just a return and a semicolon. Now, a procedure would be executed with executors such as you can write execute and the procedure name, pass various parameters if there are any, and the procedure would be executed. But for executing a function, you would need a variable to catch what the function returns. If the function is returning a number, you need to have a variable of a number data type which would be assigned to the function, and then the output of the function would be assigned to that variable. And a procedure cannot be called from a select statement, because from select statement, if you're calling something, it needs to have a return value. So a procedure may or may not return anything, so it cannot be called from a select statement. Even if the procedure with those out parameters cannot be called from a select statement, but a function, if it does not have a DML or any DDL statement inside the function, you can call it through a select statement also. So basically, we'll be using the procedure when we have some processing to do, update some tables, insert some data into the table, some procedural kind of things. Then we would use a procedure, whereas we would use a function when we want to do some calculations or something kind of that, where after doing a few steps, we would be returning something back to the calling environment. At that places functions would be used. I'll just show you how to call a procedure and how to call a function through a very small example. Over here, I'm creating a procedure called as ptestReturn. What I'm doing is I'm just simply taking three variables, variable 1, 2, and the return variable. I'm assigning 10 to the first variable, 20 to the second variable, and then I'm checking that if variable 1 is greater than 2, then just print both of the variables and return. This is what I wanted to show. As you can see, I've just written a return statement. So if variable 1 would be greater than 2, which in this case is, it will just print the two variables and return back to the calling environment. It would not do this other steps of return variable is equal to variable 1 plus 2 and anything sort of this. So just compile this. See, the procedure is compiled, and now when you execute it, what you get is 10 and 20. What happened is, as soon as it encountered this return statement, it threw back the call to the calling environment. So that is the return of a procedure. It is very much different from a function. You cannot return something like a return variable 1. If you do this, you will be getting an error, compilation error. Yeah, it says in a procedure, return statement cannot contain an expression. So you can just return it, but you cannot return any variable or value or something like that. So this is very much different from the return of a function. But in a case of function, what we return something is like this. I'm just taking two variables, variable 1 and 2. I'm assigning them values. It's always good to assign values to the variables in the begin section, not in the declaration section, because if there is a size over here like variable number 1, and still if you are assigning 10, it would not raise a compilation error, but at runtime again you will get an error. So it is always good to declare variable over here in the begin section. So see, as I'm showing here in the return statement, I have variable 1 plus variable 2. I'm doing something. I'm doing a calculation. I'm returning that calculation. So such kind of return is only possible from a function. I'll just compile this. So it's compiled. I'm declaring a variable with number v1, and then I'm executing the function. I'm taking the output of this function in this variable v1, and then I'm printing the variable. I'll just declare the variable. I'll then execute this, and now I'll print the value of v1. is 30. So as we can see, it did 10 plus 20 and gave us 30. Also, when, as I told as we discussed in this previous slide, that if there is no DML or DDL statement in a function, you can just call it from select statement. So I'll just show you. It is like this: select function name. If there is any variables to be passed, you can pass it over here from dual. Dual is the table which is given to us by default. So this is 30. As you can see, I just executed the function from the select statement. So if you are using it in a plsql block, you can simply write like select function name into some variable and start using it. No need to declare the variable, get that value and do something like that. We can just get it from the select statement. But please do make sure that you don't have a DML or a DDL statement in this. A select statement is allowed, but not a DML or DDL. Then only you can call a function through a select statement. When you this is into is not allowed over here, so yes, this gives output. But when you use a procedure in a select statement, you really don't get anything. You get something like it is an invalid identifier. It is not a procedure cannot be called from a select statement like this. You need to just write execute procedure name and your procedure will be executed as surely. Yeah, so this is it, guys. This is the basic difference between a procedure and function. Hope you enjoyed watching this video. Please do let me know your thoughts in the comments. Please do like, share and subscribe.